So if you think about it, how it's a very old story, right? How do you increase wages? You increase wages essentially by increasing investment because you no longer believe the story that the economy has a speed limit. You recognize that there's a huge amount of untapped capacity. There's a lot of demand that could be generated in the economy. And in a sense, what you're trying to do is create a kind of paradox for business in an interesting way. So I'll give you this example. Imagine that you're a sort of staunch conservative businessman and you think that whenever you give people wage increases, it inevitably leads to inflation and the whole world will fall apart. So the government comes in and says, okay, we need to get serious about decarbonisation. So we're going to take all of the existing infrastructure in Scotland that's to do with oil and we're going to start doing hydrolyzers and hydrogen transport and storage and transformation. To do that, you're going to need an absolute ton of investment. But, bond markets are basically trading negative for like OECD sovereigns. You can raise a ton of money, particularly when people realize if they don't get it right, they're all going to die. So you probably will raise that on good terms. You start chucking all that investment and wages go up. What happens to your competitors' profits? They're going to go up. And are you going to sit on the sidelines in principled resignation about the fact that this will all end in tears, or are you going to join in? Well, eventually you'll join in or your competitors will end up taking your lunch. So you create this kind of virtuous circle whereby it doesn't just show up in prices, it shows up in real investment. And so long as that investment is net asset positive, it creates a positive return, you literally haven't created any extra debt. You've simply swapped one form of debt, government debt as investment, for investment in fixed plant and equipment, which has a positive return. So your net debt position is actually the same. So it's dead easy. There's nothing like, we've never done this before. Yes, we have. We just need to actually do it seriously and at scale. Now, the interesting question then becomes, the past 40 years has been all about the private sector taking the lead. And one of the problems that we've had is because politicians haven't been required to do very much, they're crap, right? If you were any good, you wouldn't be in politics. I mean, for God's sake, you guys have Boris, for God's sake. I mean, really? I mean, this is a man who could barely hold down a job at The Spectator, right? So, do you have the political quality of capital necessary to actually do this and see this through? That's the worry that I have. I think that basically where governments lead with investment, if you're underwriting the cost, the private sector follows. But it takes government to lead, and that takes leadership. That's the unknown quanta.